All right, welcome back, gentlemen. Another episode of the Pulse on the Family Bloodline Network. And as you can see, I am on the road yet again, yet again. But we are
Where you
still
at now?
going to Arizona, out in Arizona. So yeah, just out here visiting my babies and friends and family and all the other good stuff. So I'll be out here until Saturday morning, and I fly back out early Saturday morning, out to Kansas City, and then back to Kentucky. So yeah,
Cool.
yeah. How are you all doing, Lynn? How are you? How's everything going down your way?
Uh, can't complain. Just December business is always funny, but it's even more funny. We've had more health insurance opportunities pop up this month,
Hmm.
and we're 3 days in than all
Yeah.
year.
What?
Health insurance. Yes.
Really?
Yep.
Wow. Okay.
Thanks to
Well,
you
that's
know
that's
who.
good. Yeah. 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 I was wondering about that. I
Because now these
remember.
numbers, these
Uh,
numbers are real, and they are big.
yeah. Yeah. They're hitting people, and folks are actually starting to see what we were talking about when we were actually scrubbing through the big beautiful bill and how it was going to eventually hit and affect people. And it doesn't seem real when when people are reading it, but when it actually touches the comes through, knocks at the front door, right? Then then it's a totally different thing. So that's an interesting correlation to say the least, just to say the
Hmm.
very
Who
least.
knew? Who
Yeah,
knew?
yeah, that's amazing. That's amazing. Rich, how about you?
I'm good. I am good.
No new developments for you, just breezing through.
Uh,
Gotcha,
I am.
gotcha,
I am
gotcha,
good.
gotcha. Give me 1 second.
All right.
All right, so let's
Oh man.
go ahead.
No, I was saying, what's going on then?
All right, all right.
Not much, Rich.
So let's hop right into it. There it is.
All right,
All right,
Venezuela.
goddess,
Let me start.
goddess.
Let me start. What's second
Yeah,
strike? I don't know anything
by
about the
all
second
means.
strike. What's second strike?
What do you say? What do you say?
I don't know anything about a second strike.
What
What's second
second
strike?
strike? Right out the gate, right? So
Look,
even
leadership,
even
leadership
before we
at its
get to a
finest.
second, yeah, yeah. So yeah, let's dig into that for a quick second. How, what is the purpose behind the strikes? Let me ask you all that. What do you all think, feel, and see the purpose behind the strikes are? I'll start with you on that one, Rich.
Well, the president tells us it's about drugs coming to America, fentanyl. I think that's it.
Mm,
Uh, I thought fentanyl came from
mm-hmm.
Mexico, but maybe it's coming from Venezuela as well. I don't know. I didn't know. I guess I've been out of the game for so long. I didn't know. I don't know what fentanyl is. If it ain't crack cocaine or heroin, I'm lost. So, um,
Okay.
so they say it's for drugs. Other people say, including the conspiracy people, that American oil companies want the oil in Venezuela. I guess it's the largest. Is it the largest in the world? I don't
Yep.
know. Is it the largest in Latin America? Probably.
I think it's the largest untapped
Largest on. There we go. Thank you.
in the world.
Largest
That's
Untapped.
what I think
untapped.
it is.
Yes.
Untapped.
Untapped.
Well, when you say untapped and you say oil, America's oil companies is coming for you.
There we
So
go.
I don't know if it's the drugs. Is it Well, it sounds like if I'm President Trump, I can say it's for the drugs. I can help my family become wealthier with long-term future cash flows with oil, while I'm still making friends with Saudi Arabia to let them know I still got their back. Uh, so I guess the long story is I don't know what to believe. I can't trust the mainstream media. I can't trust everything I hear off. Sometimes I don't know if I can trust myself and my reading ability. Now they tell me tomorrow.
Don't trust.
Yeah, they say tomorrow Congress is going to have Pete Hegseth come up. So I'm going to jump you. Last point. I'm going to jump you on this because I know you're
Okay.
coming with this. So I hear that there was a black man that was able to hold his job in the military, the four-star admiral in the Navy. They weren't going to fire him for DEI reasons, but he fired himself by saying he was going to retire at 37 years. Allegedly, he had, given this duty to America, but he was in charge of that command down there. Allegedly, I guess he had a meeting in the White House or with Pete Hegseth, Secretary of War. I guess Admiral Halsey said, well, I'm going to retire right now.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I'm a man or a woman. I don't know if I'm boy or girl. I don't know. I mean, I don't know if I'm bigoted one minute or I'm non-bigoted the next minute. I don't know. I don't know anything. I'm an American. Thank you.
Well, that unfortunately, that last point sounds kind of like POTUS when it comes to certain types of things, right? And I'm glad you said that because at one point he was asked, "Are you are you supposed to support and uphold the Constitution?" And he said, I don't know. I don't know. Earlier, on this actual topic, it became another. Well, I don't know anything about the situation. I don't know, and I'm beginning to become even more uncomfortable with a leader who is never in the know ever.
Yeah.
It's like when it comes down to important things happening, never in the know. Somebody else is making these decisions.
He knows
Even when
about the
it
auto
comes
pen.
to yes, not only does he know about the auto pen, but he wants to erase everything that the auto pen touched from the previous administration. Not his administrations now,
Right.
mind you, but from the previous administration. Now, if that's legal or lawful, I'm not sure. I don't know if that's a thing outside of him sitting down behind the desk and writing another EO. But that's where he is with that. But pushing the conversation further, Lynn, where are you? Go ahead, Rich. I see you were about to chime in on this with
Oh,
something.
I know. You know what? I know, and this is a tough topic for me, but I know the word that we're talking about tonight. The topic of this whole conversation about the Venezuela attacks and President Trump. There's a word. I'm sure Lynn knows it. I'm sure he'll say it and laugh about it. There's a legal word. And it's not recall. I don't recall. Not that one. There's another one.
Recollect?
Who?
Recollect?
No, there's another. It's two words, and it's a good one. In other words, if I was having problems out here in these streets, I say, well, Lynn, I got this company, and, it's just really bad. All things are happening, and you still out here in these streets wilding out. You say, okay, Richard, it's cool. I got you. No, you don't have to get me. I just want you to just hear me and not my lovely family and children. I have to go home now. Next thing I know, all my problems have gone away. And they say,
Plausible
well,
deniability.
there you go.
But plausible?
That's the key word to me, in my opinion, tonight. That's the word.
But well, okay. Before we get there, because I'm glad you said that. I didn't. That part had not crossed my mind. But moving back to what we were talking about previously, Lynn, did you want to weigh in on what we were just talking about?
Sure. So
Yeah,
why is he doing this?
yeah, the why.
Well, I'm gonna go with distraction
Oh,
for 500.
okay.
How about if I distract you from the stuff that I did do with some stuff that
Mm,
I might want to do or am
Well,
going to do?
mm.
is distraction a plausible deniability? Are they in the same family? Are they sister and
They're
brother,
adjacent. Yeah, I
husband
would
and
put
wife?
them adjacent. Yeah, I would make them.
Okay.
They're neighbors. They're neighbors. Look, they're rural neighbors. They're far. They're kind of far apart, but they're neighbors. They're neighborly.
Okay.
Um,
Okay.
because this guy is always has to always be looking for something to get you off of the main thing. Because right
I get
now,
you.
the main thing that the people want to talk about is what? Epstein.
Epstein. Yeah, yeah,
That's the main thing that people want
yeah.
to talk about.
But you know what? Here's the fun.
They don't want
But
to
here's
talk
the
about.
no. The funny thing is,
Go ahead.
this time it's the Democrats that's trying to hang him out to dry on this issue because they think they've caught him. They think they can force Hexep to resign. They think maybe they can try to go after Trump for some type of violation because Congress never declared a war on Venezuela. But President Trump is saying he didn't declare war on Venezuela. He's doing the same tactics that President Obama did. So it's just back and
Yeah.
forth.
He's trying war on drugs. Semantics there. It's a war
Okay.
on drugs,
Okay.
not a war on
Okay.
Venezuela.
Okay. Okay.
That's the card he's trying to pull.
Yeah, that's a good one. War on drugs.
Yeah.
That's what Nixon
So,
said.
yeah,
And Reagan, actually. And Reagan.
Mm-hmm.
this is true. So I'm glad you brought that up also. With the war, right? We know that Congress actually has to declare us at war to be in a war. And with these strikes happening, how and I heard some of the phrases that you all were throwing out there and the quote unquote intersectionality, which is what people like to use today. But if we're not at war with the, this country, then uh, why are we closing off airspace and why are we targeting boats? Not just targeting boats, but even pushing to double tap survivors. Why are we doing that if we're not at war? Lynn, I'll start with you on that one.
Because this administration has no respect for the rules, in my opinion. The rules
Hmm.
are plainly stated. They're laid out. All sides understand them. And time again, we just see this administration take a tactic where they're just going to do what they want to do, not follow the procedures, um, and just go off track and hope that if somebody does check them, that they can win on appeal.
Yeah.
Because somebody's always going to check them to some level, and they know that going in. So this is where they're like little kids, especially if you got a little boy. Little boy knows you going to check him because he's going to stop right there and look back. And if you don't do much, he's going to keep on. And now all of a sudden, that's the new behavior.
Yeah.
This is what we're able to get away with. This is the new precedent.
Yes.
I see.
Yes. That now you don't see me and Lynn agree a lot. I strongly agree. I strongly agree. And everything that he does, the Democrats have been accused of not having any backbone for so long that every single thing he does They have to take it to court.
Mm.
Every single thing. If he said he was the president, they said, well, let's take it to court to make sure. And then it goes to the United States Supreme Court, and then the Supreme Court has to figure out how to give this man what he wants because it's a conservative court without losing the country. So, a lot of times we think it's the Democrats and the Republicans and Trump who are stressed out. No, it's actually the Supreme Court on how to keep writing that BS
Oh yeah.
and the country believes in you.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
And it's every day.
Yeah.
And then they got these big decisions
Absolutely.
about, if you're born here in the country, I have to get off subject. If you're born here in the country illegally, if your family came over here illegally, and you were born here, do we want to take that off the books? Because they should, even though us black folks as a whole, because we support the Democratic Party as a whole, unfortunately, we won't acknowledge that. There's been all these other situations that Trump's going to do. So if the Supreme Court has 10 cases coming, how are we going to give President Trump at least, I'm going to say 7 or 6 cases of victory that are huge for him, that he won't do something further down the line to make us have to redouble down on what we just did that we knew was wrong. It's, but Polar Knights is absolutely right. I see his comments. I'm recognizing what he's saying. He's absolutely right.
Yeah, absolutely. So with that being said, what precedents is the Supreme Court setting for future administrations? What standard are they setting?
There's never been a standard. It's just now it's not. It's more obvious now. It's never been a standard. Whatever political party you belong to, that's normally what you will pull for, how you'll decide your decisions. Except in the 60s, that Supreme Court, a lot of them were supposed to uphold the status quo. Oh God, I can't remember their names, but 1 or 2 of them who were supposed to be conservatives kind of started being more liberal in their decision making. That's not going to happen with this court unless Trump does something that's so over the top that Coney Barrett feels offended as a woman and being a very devout Catholic woman, or Kavanaugh or Gorsuch says, okay, hold on a second. You've gone too far. We can't quite do all that you want us to do, President Trump. Now, what's too far? I've been saying this for the last year because I know what I'm going through personally. For a person to be born white in this country and born into wealth and money, have gone to the best schools and never been told that he's ever been wrong ever in his life, and now all of a sudden he gets criticism and he's up in his 70s. I just don't know a white man who's been told his whole life he's perfect, that he gets into his 70s, now he has to take criticism. I kind of have I just can't judge him like that because I just don't know white men that you can criticize when they're in a position of power from the time they arrived on earth in this country, particularly when they got money behind them and they grew up with money. And no one has ever told him, Democrat or Republican, when he was coming up, that he was wrong on anything. So I just, it's difficult for me because I think about this. I'm like, he shouldn't be down in Venezuela because I think about Colonel Gaddafi in Libya. And I thought it was on a different watch, but it's on President Obama's watch. And that hurts my heart because I know that President Obama couldn't do everything for Black America. That's not what he was elected to do. But here's an African president who was trying to go to the gold standard and trying to get all the other countries in Africa to go to a gold standard so they would no longer, so they could basically control their resources and control their future cash flows.
Mm-hmm.
That's what he was trying to do. And he had the oil to back it. And every person in Libya had a home under Colonel Gaddafi, and they had free education. And if they didn't want to go to get educated in Libya, they could go anywhere in the world and the country would pay for it. But you don't ever hear that, which is the same criticism that Fidel Castro had. I'm not saying I'm for him. I'm not saying I'm against him. But he was doing the same thing for his people, but in his own mannerism down in Cuba. So on one hand, when I tell you I don't want drugs in the inner cities because I know it affects us, I feel strongly about that. But I also don't want America to continue to be the world's government watchdog, the international watchdog, this manifest destiny. If we don't like what you're doing, we're going to out of office. But let somebody try to come over here and run us out of office. Let somebody come over here and try to tell us.
Here's the thing, though. This is what I asked before. Who do you want? China or Russia?
No, I agree. That's the problem. I agree with you. I don't want either one.
Wait a minute. Never mind. We got to keep doing it because you don't want nobody else in that spot.
Right. But this is, hold on. This is one of, I wish people are listening to this conversation tonight. This is one of the weaknesses of the Republican Party, because people see me come on here and I go after the Democrats for what they've done to me. One of the weaknesses in the Republican Party, you have some Republicans that say, America first, we don't care what the rest of the world is doing. We can create enough jobs here. We got enough wealth here to get it done. I agree with those, unfortunately, those particular Republicans who feel like that. Other Republicans are saying, no, in order to keep us number one on earth, we have to go and keep everybody else in line. I don't agree with that, because as long as we have nuclear bombs, we'll be fine. Problem is, they say if we can't keep our number one status, then there's a great chance we'll lose our reserve our US dollar as the reserve currency, and we don't want China's yen or anybody else's currency being the reserve status of the world.
Right.
Then, okay, so I see you on that. I can see that point to you tonight. This is why this is a tricky situation. This is why the Republican Party right now is having some issues. And it ain't because of Donald Trump really so much. But you got some people in the Republican Party who are strong America first. Are they sometimes a little prejudiced? Probably. But the ones who want to go over and tell other countries what to do, are they a little prejudiced? Probably. But those two groups are not as prejudiced as the far right of the Republican Party, who probably have friends, neighbors, and relatives part of the white nationalists. So this whole thing with Venezuela is
absolutely.
Yeah. So it's
I'm agreeing. Keep going. Yeah.
So it's opening up this Venezuela situation. I don't want to see us down there. I don't want to see none of our troops get hurt, because they're going to get hurt when they go to that Middle East, when there's a pushback from Hamas over the situation in Gaza, in Israel, and Iran. There's going to be a pushback. We're going to lose men and women, and I hate that. So I'm caught. I'm in a dilemma.
I'm glad you said that, because that's the tie into last week when we were talking about the 6 Democratic representatives who came out and told military members that they are to not obey unlawful orders, right? And pushing that even further into the alleged 2 survivors of the last bombing, and then those survivors essentially being double tapped, right? They got the double tap, and
Has that been confirmed?
So
the double tap.
Well, that's the process. That's part of the process that's going on tomorrow with the questioning in Congress with the Secretary of Defense or War, or whatever he wants his title to be now, and the admiral that they threw under the bus, right? So there's 2 things that I want to say, right? And then this was getting pushed to Lynn. The first thing is, which humane military has ever done that to a group of people? That's the first thing. And the second thing is, what war? What war? Right? So, Lynn, pick up on that one. Where are you at with that?
That's not done. It's not done. Well, it is. It probably is done. But when it is done, the repercussion is you're brought up on war crime charges. That's the result of that type of behavior. And so, we want to play a game where we're going to break the rules of war, where we're not even in a war, but we're breaking war rules, and then don't want to have to deal with the repercussions of breaking war rules. What are we doing?
Wait a minute.
You're positioning yourself. Hold on. You're positioning yourself to not be the number one cop
Mm.
on the globe. And then once again, you got to go back to who do you want? You want China or you want Russia? Or do you want
Well,
another player in
That's
that role?
yeah.
wait a minute. Speaking of the war rules, because I remember when I was in the military, and they talked about the Geneva Conventions and rules of engagement and all that.
Hmm.
I hate to sound like a person from the Middle East. I hate to sound like I'm supporting or understanding or giving sympathy to Hamas or Hezbollah, Al Qaeda, ISIS, or any other unknown terrorist organization. But when they say
We
something
know you're
about,
not. We know you're not.
yeah, good. Because when they say that, hey, we don't care about the white man's rules because you make the rules and you break the rules. And then when we spoke to the Native Americans on those reservations years ago, they said, don't trust the white man. And now, black man, I'm already having insecurities about how my family got over here to begin with. So this idea of the rules of engagement and war rules. So the white man tells us 1 minute, okay, we're gonna do it like this, and then he changes his mind later on and gives an amendment, a qualifier, reasonable explanation, exceptions to the rule. So this idea, and this is what President Trump kind of knows. I can break these rules. We white people. We make rules, we break rules. We got the most nuclear weapons. We decide who's in charge and who's not. Well, hold on, Mr. Manifest Destiny. Even though you told me you were going to do this, and so I have to respect you with your Southern hospitality. You told me up front. So when we talk about rules and being humane, anytime we've done something on a double tap, no, we wouldn't know because usually the military wouldn't be involved. It would be the CIA. Okay. Or somebody else we hired. Plausible deniability. So in this case, Pete Hegseth is saying, I'm tired of us, quote, pussyfooting around. We're going to get our macho back. We're going to get our white man's self-esteem back. Okay, cool. So you say this, and President Trump's like, yeah, that's why I brought you on here, because you're young and you full of testosterone. You ready to rock and roll. So you throw 6 bombs. Maybe you should have threw only 2, but you throw 6 anyway. 4 extra. Take it to the Supreme Court. Well, for national security interests, well, President Trump's right. Now, President Trump, don't do that again. Okay. That's how this is going to turn out.
And I don't disagree with you totally on that at all. But the Secretary of War or Defense, aren't they still subject to UCMJ?
No, the Secretary of Defense, the Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth, I don't think he is. The Admiral and those military leaders, those generals and admirals, unfortunately, they're in a tough situation. Because listen, they can say, well, listen, that's unlawful, sir. We cannot do that. And then President Trump said, well, get your ass up out of here. Okay, I'll go on to retire. Bye. I didn't like you anyway. I'm surprised that Black Admiral, to this day, I'm still surprised he didn't get fired off top the minute President Trump walked into office. I'm stunned. Because he was trying to fire all the mother.
He was making his way to him.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
But if you're a military general or admiral, and they tell you, hey, this is what we're doing, you're supposed to follow lawful orders. But with President Trump, what's lawful and what's not? He's the top dog. If he says it's lawful, you say, well, no, it's not. Here it is right here. Well, did you put that in writing? Did you not verbal? Did you put that in writing and say, here, Secretary Hegseth, you're my boss, and the top boss is President Trump. This is wrong, and here's the information, and I'm giving you a memo. So when I do this, if they say, well, we'll bring you up on the UCMJ, we're going to court-martial you, say, no. I informed the management above me that this was wrong, and they said you will do it anyway. So the brother.
So I just go ahead.
Yeah. So the brother, Admiral Hosey, ironically, he said, you know what? I ain't even taking these chances. I know who. Look, I may have 4 stars, but I know who I am. So he just said, I'm out. Now, if all the generals, the general who's under attack now for this double tap, when he got promoted to take that position, if he had said, no, I'm not doing this either. And if you have general or admiral after admiral in the Navy taking over this Southern Command or this command down here in the Venezuela area saying, we're retiring, and you get 4 or 5 admirals retiring in succession because they say it's unlawful, now that's different. But if you one said it's unlawful, he ain't doing it, the other one said, oh, I'll do it, it's lawful, then what is it?
Yeah, yeah, and you're correct. Lynn, go ahead and weigh in on that.
I mean, I wholeheartedly agree with what I'm picking up what Richard is putting down.
Damn. This ain't good.
Uh-huh.
I said this
What?
ain't good.
What? This gotta be first pick? Huh? I gotta be Stephen A. Smith? I mean, what's
No,
going
no,
on?
I'm just saying if we're all agreeing tonight, if we're all agreeing,
Well, no,
I heard
we're not all going to agree on everything, but there are
Right.
some things that because we're talking facts,
Well, here's the
where
problem.
we get hung up,
Yeah.
I think, is when we go down that conspiracy road. But right now, everything is pretty much
Wait a minute.
factual.
Well, hold on.
Uh-oh.
Wait a minute. If we agree on this fact of this situation and how it's going to be interpreted, if we're agreeing, then that tells us the Republicans and the Democrats have a possibility to agree. That's the first thing. This thing about the oil that Polar Knights is talking about, and then I'm talking about that we've heard on these videos. If you watch enough videos, you'll be able to catch people in their lies, but you got to watch a lot and you got to read other, quote, conspiracy stuff offline in books. And the history tells us in this country, well, that's how this country was founded. Land and opportunity. So are we just going to Venezuela over some drugs? But see, let me tell you how he set this up. Right. So let me tell you how he set this up. When he took office and he said, I'm going to send troops down to Mexico and stop those drug cartels. And I said, absolutely. And Jay Glass jumped on me. No, we ain't having it. Now he's down to Venezuela and said, well, this is where I really wanted to go. Now I can get this oil. He played me and you.
Yeah, and so just to touch on something that you were just saying, because this is one of the few issues within since January, that both the Republicans and Democrats are outwardly, minus a few. Every now and again, you get somebody who's pushing back hard because they're a true loyalist. But the Democrats and the Republicans are seriously scrutinizing these actions. So you do have bipartisanship that is looking at this and saying that this is an issue for not just America, but specifically and in particular our service members. Because just like you all were saying, I was just looking at a Chat GPT about SecDef, and you all are completely right. This Secretary of Defense is a civilian position, and so anything that comes out of that in the form of legal repercussions would be tried under something different. But the admiral and the military members under that admiral's command are in jeopardy of being punished under UCMJ.
So, quick question.
Yeah.
That the UCMJ.
Mm-hmm.
Could President Trump pardon them? Because if you court-martial them, politics will be involved again. Because if you court-martial them, then when Trump wants something done and he goes to Hegseth, and Hegseth goes to the leadership, military leadership, the Pentagon, and says, I want this done, and they're too afraid to move, you'll disrupt this country. So in a sense, he would have to step in. If they were going to be court-martialed, Trump would have to come down on the military and say, if you court-martial them, if you thought I'd let January 6 people get off, oh, these people are getting off and getting promoted. So that's a tricky situation. Now, maybe he's playing the long game and saying, you cannot court-martial them when I want something done. Now, if he thinks it's going to haunt him, like when he builds his casinos, Lynn, if the money ain't right, well, I'm turning my back on you. So if he feels like it's going to hurt him, then he'll turn his back on him. If he feels like he can really get impeached,
Who's building a casino?
no, I said
Who's building
if
casino?
we're building a casino for Trump, he doesn't really want to pay us our money. Not really. He will if he has to.
Oh,
but he doesn't really want to.
Oh, we're one of his contractors. Yeah, you're right. He'd rather pay his lawyers.
Legal or illegal, it doesn't matter how we get here, as long as we're doing this work.
Right.
So,
but
he'll protect the admiral for doing his job, unless it's going to cause him to get impeached, and then he would turn his back on him.
Len, what do you think about that? Because that's a great question. I do need to check and see if there's a president, if the president if the president can pardon if the president can pardon someone who's being hit by UCMJ. And
I'm sorry, I can turn down these lights. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
without
because
doing
I'm not sure.
Without doing a lot of research, I'm gonna let my logic kind of prevail here. I would think that the commander-in-chief is able to step in and pardon military offenders, military criminals, convicted military felons, so to speak. Because, you know, as the president, that's a civilian hat, he's able to do it. As commander-in-chief, that's his military hat. I don't see who could stop him from doing. I would think he has the power to do it more so with the military than in the civilian world.
Yeah.
He has less hurdles to clear in the military world than he would in the civilian world.
Okay, that's why. So my question to you, my question to you, Lynn, on that part would be, what does that do to and for military members if they see that happen?
Well, initially it gives you pause, but then when you see it play out, it's almost like mob-like, right? You go in there, you do your time, you shut up, and then like Rich is talking about, not only do you come out clean as a whistle, but then you come out clean as a whistle and then get promoted to a cushy, earning.
Wait a minute. So you're basically saying what happens to the military cohesion, our war readiness that President Trump wants to bring up?
Well,
no, in the near term,
that's part of it. That's part of it, right?
It's bad. In the near term, I think it's bad. But long term, you're going to see people play out and work for people in a positive way. But in the moment,
sure,
it's bad, and it's going to affect morale, and it's going to affect the way people process orders and things like that in the near term. But in the mid to long term, people will say, well, wow, okay, if you do your penance for X amount of time, you come out, with a good record and a promotion, not bad. But you got to see that.
So then what does that do for? Yeah, but what does that do for the integrity and the influence of the UCMJ in its entirety? If that's what
it weakens
military
it makes
members.
it something that people like,
Well,
because it's right now it's a guardrail that people want to stand clear of, because if that brown file that you got starts to get thicker and thicker, it's an inch thick, now it's an inch and a half thick, that could be problematic for you long term. So that UCMJ is what keeps people in line. But if you see it being manipulated like this, like, go ahead, you're gonna get in trouble today, but next year you're gonna be cool, that's bad. For me, ultimately it's bad, because then it's a rule that I don't respect. And if an organization has rules you don't respect, then you have less respect for that organization. So I think it knocks the military down a couple pegs.
Here's what I would say. When I served, to the best of my knowledge, in the Air Force, I want to say probably 65 to 70% of the people I served were Republican.
Hmm.
We never talked about it because the military is supposed to be neutral when it comes to politics. Force is 65 to 70% Republican. Now maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's a 50-50 split. So what I'm trying to say is the Army and military tries to stay neutral because we take orders from Democrat and Republican. It doesn't matter who wins the election. We're taking the orders from you. So with the UCMJ, if a military person gets out of hand, it was he or she doing something on their own accord. It wasn't really coming from someone above them giving them unlawful orders, particularly when it comes from the White House and it trickles down because you know his mindset. So I think the UCMJ, if someone was going to be court-martialed, I think the people would sit in on that trial, those military judges, they would get a lot of pressure. Now, would they get as much pressure as Congressman Marjorie Taylor Greene? I think it'd be worse.
Well, I agree. I think it'd be worse because, as Lynn stated out, the commander in chief has more teeth when it comes to dealing with military members, especially if they're dealing with military members directly, right? You know, there's a such thing as there's a such thing called as a GOMAR, a general letter of reprimand that can, and there's several different types, but there's a GOMAR that can follow you around, right? If a general, a brigadier general or above writes you a letter that is disheartening or it doesn't favor you, right? That can hurt your career in the long run. If the commander in chief does the same thing, writes a presidential acknowledgement or a general letter of reprimand coming from the commander in chief, that's a career destroyer. But it's also at this point dealing with the standard military wide, the actual law, the standard that military members have been able to hold to the fire, sometimes successfully, sometimes not. But at least there was a standard in black and white in place that military members could turn and begin to defend themselves against unlawful orders, right? Or
that's that.
go
But
ahead.
those unlawful orders you're talking about would just come from within the military. What I'm saying is, with this particular president, when them orders come downhill and they're told to go out and do something because of social media, family and friends, neighbors, and you're saying you're going to do something, that those orders are coming from the White House. So when you do something and you say, well, Richard, that was unlawful what you did, but it came from my boss, and my boss, top boss, goes up to Pete Hegseth, Secretary of War. And he told me this is what we want done. Now, Pete Hegseth, with his plausible deniability, says, well, hey, go do this, but do it and get it done. And then you do a little extra. Then you say, well, I didn't know you was going to do that, but you told me to accomplish this. Because if I didn't accomplish this mission the way you wanted it, I'm not going to be sitting here tomorrow. Now it's tricky. And Pete Hegseth, as long as you can make America look good and get that oil, hey, that's the name of, that's the foundation of America. Capitalism.
Yeah.
And my
Yeah, and
capitalism.
I don't disagree with the reason behind the drive to do this. What you all have made me think about tonight is the bigger picture and the influence of how these things can actually begin to shape the military in a horrible way, right? That quick flash to bang of the president saying, yep, that admiral, those were unlawful orders. Technically, yeah. But you know what? I'm going to do away with that. Because that's going to get down to the lowest service member in the military. And that's what they actually have to begin to look at. And now we become a lawless military, especially if we become an invading force, right? He made the comment several hours ago that we're it's airstrikes right now, but I'm not taking land strikes off the table.
But America
in
has always been
Venezuela.
an invading force. We look.
No,
We
I don't disagree with that. I don't disagree with that. What I'm saying is, even with us being that type of force, right, an invading force, there were certain checks and balances, even when it comes to 9/11 or weapons of mass destruction. There were still different checks that had to be looked at and maneuvered around properly in order for us to actually become an invading force. At this point, right? With what you're saying, let's say again, there is a presidential or a commander in chief relief given to the admiral who did the double tap, who committed to the double tap, gave the orders to the double tap to the military members in that specific area, and lawlessness reigns supreme. Well, we become an invading force that has no laws.
never had laws.
There is
No, we have laws on.
UCMJ.
Well, no. We have laws on the books, right? Yeah, we had laws on the books when the quote enslaved Africans received their freedom after the Civil War, and look what happened. So one minute you're saying, we ain't really free. Now the next minute you said we have laws. So wait a minute. If you're telling me long term, 25, 30 years from now, that a president could declare martial law and use the military to regulate all 50 states and its territories through martial law, and that the military would carry it out even though it was unlawful, if that is what you're worried about, well, that sounds like a conspiracy. But see, I'm already ahead of you.
And I'll let Lynn hop in here in a second because I see his mind moving. But what I'm saying is, if we become a military, and we are the most lethal military in the world, but if we become a military that removes all the safeguards that don't only protect the service members but also protects other countries, at that point, we're in a bad way, because now we don't have any moral footing in the military at this point. Lynn, I'll kick that over to you.
Well, yeah, this is what I was talking about before. That's why that guardrail is so important and so critical, and we don't want to lose respect for it. So, you got to be real careful with balance, I guess is the word I'm looking for, with regard to making sure that that stays in place, that we do behave like we know what the rules are and we follow the rules as a rule, and sure, will there be exceptions made? Yeah. But when you live in a world where people know what the rules are and the exception is possible, but probably not going to happen, people still behave like there's, no exceptions, versus, oh yeah, we make exceptions all the time. And then that's where you have a reduction in respect for uniform code of military justice. That's where the respect starts to tumble. And then, like you were saying, it trickles all the way down to the E1s.
Yeah.
E1s are sitting there like, what are they going to do? Like little kids. What are they going to do to us? What, are they going to kill us? No, they ain't going to do nothing. And they can't lock us all up. Then you start having that kind of mentality, and then you're lost. You're lost. So you got to keep that. You got to keep that that rule, that discipline tight at the very top, so it doesn't trickle down to the rank and file and end up in a place where there's little to no respect for it.
I have a different outlook.
Okay.
I saw that. I saw that, Richard. With
Listen, y'all keep talking about these guardrails. Now, we three black men in this country. We three black men in this country that can be pulled over just because while we're driving. Okay? Ain't no damn guardrails. See, I wrote down, there is an illusion of justice for all to be distributed blindly. That ain't the foundation of this country. That's not the foundation. That's not what the Mexicans tell me. That's not what Native Americans tell me. That ain't what they tell me. Hell, but they don't have to tell me anything. So, no, we give out this illusion that we're a country of law and order. We'll break those rules in a hot minute for some money. Oh, yes, we will. Yeah.
Yes, but we're not talking about the country. We're talking about the military, which has a higher standard of discipline.
Wait a minute. Okay, okay. I
That's
give
the
you the higher
difference.
standard of.
Not an
I give you that.
undisciplined, not an
Mhm.
undisciplined sheriff or state trooper that pulls
Right.
one of us over. But
Right.
let me
Okay.
ask you
Yeah.
this: if all
Okay.
three of us are wearing suits, if we're suited and booted, because I've
Mhm.
yet to see this on film on a body cam, where somebody suited and booted gets dragged out of their car and beat within an inch of their life and
I
shot.
wish. I wish Congress. I
While
wish.
where
I
they,
wish. I wish.
I've never seen a
Wait.
brother in a suit.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. I wish Attorney Cochran was still alive because I think he got. He didn't get dragged out the car, but he got stopped once and he was suited and booted in L.A. And then he ended up.
Well, once again, I'm giving you the rule.
Right. Right. Okay. That's fine.
Yeah.
There
That's
are
fine.
exceptions.
That's fine. That's fine. Okay.
But
So
the rule,
my thing. Uh-huh.
that's not what I see. That's not who I see getting dragged from the car.
So if my
Shot instead
memory.
of taser. But
Wait a minute. If my
Go
memory
ahead.
serves me correct, talking about the military has a higher level of discipline, and
Uh-oh.
I agree with that. But the military just became desegregated, I think, in 1948 with President Truman. So the military, yes, it's a great thing. I served. All of us served. All right. But they're a reflection of our society. And again, the foundation of this country was some people came over, saw land, didn't see land titles, and even if they did see some land titles, if you don't got enough muskets and strategy to hold it, we taking it.
Right.
That's
Yeah.
the foundation of this country.
Yep.
So when they put their guardrails in, we were serving coffee. Well, coffee, maybe they had cream back then. I don't know. We weren't even considered human beings. So on one minute, I agree with you, but if I look at it from a liberal perspective, from a Democrat, from a terrorist, from a Native American or minority perspective, they'll tell you in a minute, we ain't got no guardrails in this country. That's why we want to
No,
destroy everything and create guardrails.
and I'm not disagreeing with you in that stance, but again, just moving this back to the armed forces portion of it, right?
Right.
What we do know is that I know a lot of people say that the military is not a social experiment, but it actually is because the military has led change for the country way before the country was able to actually make that same change. And it's generally because of the pressure points that we have been pushed into with each other, right? Although there were still moments of segregation, and even now today, black soldiers in the army still get punished at a higher rate than our white counterparts when committing the same offense. The difference, however, is once we go to UCMJ and we begin to look stuff up, and if you go to case study and you see what's happened, right? You have a better chance of fighting and winning your case in the military than what you do as a civilian.
Oh, I disagree.
Oh no. I'm a part of that actual thing, right? I've had to actually
And
go
you're not part of this
and
actual thing in the civilian side. That's the tricky
well,
thing.
that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
Well,
In
yeah,
the
that's why it's keeping the
military,
military. But let me ask you, Jay,
yeah,
what is the equivalent of a public defender in the military?
it's a JAG officer. They're all JAG officers, and depending on where they're working, generally speaking, the higher ranking JAG officers work for that commander and not for the actual service member. That's another tricky part. So the service member has to actually go to a JAG office outside of their command to get that type of representation, that representative to actually assist them in their case. I was under an investigation. I don't know why I can hear them well, but I was under 3 investigations at one time, right? And a friend of mine, he was actually my general's JAG, and I talked to him, and he told me, he said, James, you can ask me these questions, and as a friend, I'll give you what I think, right? He said, but I can't give you any professional assistance as a soldier because I have to investigate you for the general. And I said, oh, got it. So what should I do? He said, you need to go and call the JAG office over here in this other area so that we can liaise with them and get it figured out. He was like, now there's case study that actually helps your case a lot. He's like, I know you, so I know what the actual outcome is going to be for you. He said, but you can't use me. Don't come to me. I'm not the guy for you. You've got to go use a separate JAG officer in order to assist you. And what I will say that in the military, you have a better chance if you're going in front of judges, or you're getting court-martialed. You have a better chance in the military of actually winning your case, or at least having your case be looked at fairly, than what you do in the civilian world. And that's why I think it's so important that UCMJ, these standards have to be protected. UCMJ, it has to be protected, because if not, y'all know service members that we're all service members are one minute away from pandemonium, and it's the only thing keeping service members in check is UCMJ and the discipline that it holds us to.
Well, my experience in the military and going through the civilian court system, whether it's criminal or civil, no, I would say you have a much better chance outside the military. But I'm coming out of the Air Force. Now, Army, y'all play things a little differently. Y'all can go upside somebody's head, lose a stripe, and get the stripe back in a year and a half. Air Force, no. Lose a stripe, it's going to take you a minute. You may get it back, but boy, you're going to be put through something. So,
yeah,
but if you ask different people who served, in the country about going through the UCMJ versus going through a civilian court, you're gonna get some different answers. All I'm simply saying is,
I agree. Yeah.
What President Trump is doing with his Venezuela thing is no different than any other president when they want to go out and do something against a foreign country. When there's lobbyists saying there's some oil there and we need to get our hands on it. Listen to this. Not only for money purposes, but for national security, to keep America number one. It's a national security interest. So not only is Trump coming for Venezuela for the oil companies, the CIA saying, yeah, you do this and we'll take care of the rest of it. For national security, to keep America number one. So our dollar will be the revered currency, reserve currency, regardless of what China does, regardless of how much they can produce. We will keep our U.S. dollar as the reserve currency, and therefore that's going to support our nuclear weapons. That we will always be number one. Even if half our turns white, we're gonna still run it. That's what President Trump is really trying to keep going. The country is going to turn non-white halfway through by 2055. But does America lose its power? And so when you talk about, Lynn, about the conspiracies and all the conspiracy readers will tell you every empire is between 240 and 260. But they leave out the one part about Rome having two, the Roman Republic and the Roman Empire. They had two periods, about 240, 260 years. Now, are we going to go into our new period? Oh, I don't know. But I can guarantee a lot of Republicans are worried about losing their status as white people of America who dominate the world. They're worried about it, and they'll do anything to keep their money. In order to keep their status, you got to keep your money. In order to keep your money, you got to keep your weaponry, your nuclear weapons up. I've always said, hey, I don't mind you putting money into the military, but don't sit here and tell me when you print that money out of thin air from a bank that you don't control, that you can't produce money for people's health care. That's a lie. And that's why sometimes I get worked up because you can print all this money up to go bomb somebody. You can send billions upon billions to these other countries to rebuild them after you take their natural resources forever because you're setting up infrastructure through military bases. But don't tell me you can't give healthcare to this country and then say, well, we give healthcare, it won't be the same. I don't want to hear that kind of lie. This is where the Democrats are absolutely right about universal healthcare. This is where AOC and Bernie Sanders, I don't care how they demonize them. Oh, I'm sorry. I'll stop.
I'm pausing you out. I'm pausing you out because that's my pitch for next week's topic. Actually,
Oh,
I wanted us to actually begin to actually look at that because we're still waiting for the White House to present their their plan.
oh, the
Oh yeah,
distraction,
it's
So I
almost mid
kind of
December,
gave,
isn't it?
distraction. That's what
It's
you
almost
said,
mid
right?
December,
yes,
isn't it?
yeah,
Mid December.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah. Well, wait a
yeah.
minute, wait a minute. Maybe they'll come
So
out
that's
right after
that.
the Epstein. Maybe after the Epstein stuff comes out and they redacted about, I don't know, 45% of the names. I don't know. Guessing they'll come out.
Right. But yeah,
That's a
that's
good
that
point.
because that's what I wanted to. Yeah, I wanted to start touching on that next week, and I was waiting to see if there are going to be any new developments between now and then. Because yes, we're mid December, and we don't see anything just yet. So, Lynn, you got anything? You got anything to weigh in on? I'm about to get us around the horn. I got to make another run tonight to go see one of my buddies from the army since I'm
Okay.
out here in Arizona.
All right.
So, but let's let me there we are. I'm on my iPad. This OS is different than the OS that I use when I'm at home. But
Uh-huh.
let's get around the horn real quick. Let's get around the horn real quick. I won't be first. We know that. Lynn,
Yeah.
going around the horn. You
Okay.
are up
I'm gonna keep
first.
it. I'm gonna keep it. Short and sweet. Um, I tell you, the more things change, the more they stay the same. And
Mm,
it's incumbent upon us to use our large mind and consider all of the information from multiple sources. Um, you know, Conspiracy theories are funny to me, but they also do have some value because conspiracy theories allow us to open up our mind to more possibilities. Like it's just, things are just not cut and dry. There could be another agenda. There could be an oil agenda. There could be
yeah.
a crypto agenda. There could be,
Mm.
open up your mind to more possibilities. I believe allows you to think bigger about these events and keep you sharper. So, with that being said, I see the events of the last few days as distractions,
Mm.
but also there's some stuff that we need to get to the bottom of, so that
Mm,
we can have a clear path forward. And
that's
that's
good.
it. That's what I got.
Yeah. Man, I'm glad you said that. The more things change, the more they stay the same. Because that, yeah, you are spot on with that. You are spot on with that. Rich.
So I'll be short and quick. Speaking of the conspiracies, it's just a matter of time before the U.S. government truly acknowledges our relationship with UFOs and aliens. It's just a matter of time. I thought it'd be 50 years from now. It won't be 50 years from now. It's just a matter of time till we really find out how AI is going to either totally disrupt the job market in this country, or we'll learn how to keep our jobs and still work with AI. But this is coming
Mm,
to a head. Has nothing to do with President Trump. This country has been on this path for a long, long, long time. And I still believe in this country. I still believe in the people. And we'll make it through this. God bless America.
God bless America. So but around the horn for me real quick, there was a lot that I actually wanted to dedicate to this actual topic, but I made a promise to a brother, and I have to make sure that I do what I said I'm going to do, which is why I got to get out of here soon. I just want to remind the American public. Listen, there was a man that was pardoned who moved tons of cocaine,
Allegedly.
and got a presidential. No. He was. That's what he was literally arrested for.
No,
Right,
his wife
and
said he
he
didn't do it.
recently. His wife said, but that's okay. I gotcha. But he pushed narcotics, right? And he was released by the same person who said we're
Uh,
we're we're blowing boats up because of narcotics. I want to remind America that the whole reason why, or not the reason why, but the way we got the road that was laid and paved to get to where we are today was started from somebody saying we're going to keep the drugs out of America. I've said this once and I'll say it again. The cartels aren't the problem. Drugs aren't the problem. It's Americans who love drugs. That's the problem. Whether it be alcohol, coffee, fentanyl, or meth, it's the actual addict that's not actually being treated. That's the issue. All these other things, drugs won't do themselves if you lay them on the table. I've never seen, any marijuana laid on a table to start smoking itself, ever. America, you have to do a better job of looking in the mirror and giving an honest movement of self-evaluation. That's my around the horn. Outside of saying, I'm glad Steph and Lynn are having a good time with this and things are picking back up, because that's a great thing to hear. That's a great thing to hear. I love hearing success stories. We're back to where I'm glad
well,
y'all are doing well.
hey, wait a
That's it.
minute, wait a minute. You know how those capitalists are? They gonna win whether the country's up or the country's down. Them capitalists, they gonna get there. You know, took me a long time to say that line.
Look,
Get there.
look, that's the life of a broker. When I was a stockbroker, I learned that lesson early on in my career, and I would even tell my clients. I said, "Look, you can buy, I'm gonna make money. You can sell, I'm gonna make money, but I can't guarantee that you're going to make money between your buys and sells." And
Mm,
that's capitalism. You know, getting paid for the transaction. This is what I tell people that all up in the air over gambling. I said
Mm.
the bookie the bookie's getting paid off a transaction. The bookie don't need to
yeah,
fix the game. The bookie just needs the game to be played. They're getting a vig either way. Who no
But
matter
how do you
who
know the
wins,
bookie?
no matter who
But how do you know the
loses.
bookie? But how do you know the bookie doesn't have some bets on as well?
Huh?
How do you know the bookie doesn't have the bets as well? He has his own personal bets.
Well,
The
he
bookie.
can. He can, but that's not smart. The smart play is just let the games get played and get your money, get your transaction. Somebody's gonna win, somebody's gonna lose. Don't matter which one happens, you're gonna get paid. Stock goes up, stock goes down. Don't matter. Brokers getting paid. And what do we call those
yeah.
people on?
We
What do we call brokers on Capitol Hill? Lobbyists.
Leaders.
Lobbyists.
lobbyists.
Oh, okay. Them too. Leaders.
Lobbyists. Right?
Well, here's what
They
I'll
get the
say.
money from someplace,
Uh-huh.
and they give the money to you know, whatever congressperson needs to get that money to sway that vote. And
Uh-huh.
every time they move that money, they get a transaction fee. They're
And look,
brokers.
we I want to make sure that JJ LaHaye 74, I want to make sure that we acknowledge him, because sometimes we say things that black folks don't like. Sometimes we say things that white folks don't like. I'm always saying something that Latinos don't like half the time. So, we try to be straight down the line
Yeah,
and really tell it for what it is, not just from our own personal perspective, but from an unbiased perspective to the best of our ability that doesn't violate our life experiences. And I'm just proud that I have other men I can talk to who look like me, who may not have the exact same opinion on every single issue, but they're willing to engage with me without trying to blow my head off. or call me the N word on a rap song,
Oh man.
I'll stop there. Let me
Yeah.
stop there. Let me stop there.
Yeah.
Let me stop.
But with that being said, it's always good people. We thank y'all for hanging out with us, stopping in and enjoying the conversation. Do us a solid like and subscribe on YouTube. Hit that bell notification so that you are all notified when we go live and when we push out more content. So as always, thank you all for coming out. God bless and good night.